Hi guys, this is Grant Harvey from One Liner Reminder podcast, and I want to speak to you today briefly about mentality and just some evidence around what I've picked up from other services around the country, working with men on a day-to-day basis in regards to their mentality and their identity. Today, I want to talk about how we form these, as well as how these form a particular belief system within ourselves. Obviously, when I'm talking about that, our own mentality and how we behave and communicate and where it comes from. From the start, I guess we want to look at what man has evolved into over generations, from cultural expectations or ideals, um, beliefs that have been projected upon what a man needs to be and what needs to look like. A lot of those are where men are supposed to have it all together. So they're supposed to look like something, and sometimes that's an image thing. They have to look strong, be fit, intelligent, that, they have to be successful, that, they have to have the ideals in life, and that's supposed to reflect their worth, or that they're good enough as a human or as a person. Some of those ideals, can look like, the car, the house, the financial status, the clothing, the list goes on and on. The family, everything, to have everything perfect without any grief or um, anything that's not quite what I thought it was, or what the ideal thought it was. The limitations that gives us is that culturally we've been taught that men aren't allowed to express their emotions, their feelings, when they're feeling like overwhelmed or hopeless or helpless, or feeling like things aren't going the way I thought they were going, that they're all falling apart. I feel like I'm losing control. And instead, we try to bottle all this up. We try to control our emotions, control our mind, um, by trying not to be real self, but instead um, be unreal, where we keep telling ourselves, just keep doing what we're doing and things will change. And it doesn't mean that things don't change. It just means when things don't turn out again the way we thought they would, it re-emphasizes it and builds that belief and emotion towards self, which is not helpful. Um, these limitations and being able to communicate, because we're weak, because if I say something, I feel like a failure, or if I don't achieve this, or if they don't see me as successful, I feel worthless. So what that does is the behaviour is that we disconnect. We don't want to communicate because we feel like if I do communicate, that's going to cause more harm towards self. So we isolate, or we withdraw, or we can get defensive, we can get angry, we can get loud, but even anger can turn to rage, where we sabotage whatever it is around us that's causing us to feel overwhelmed and out of control. And it happens to the extreme. So it happens to the point where, because we've bottled up these feelings and thoughts towards self based upon this, unhelpful identity that we've learned, uh, we are unable to. The fear is that we're unable to communicate, because of how everyone will perceive us. But I want to challenge some of that, because I want to, I guess, point out that it's an unhealthy mindset based upon a belief system inside of us that says we're worthless, that we're unloved, that we're not good enough, and we're a failure. I want to challenge some of those ideas, um, that we can actually learn to change how we see self, in our core, our foundation as a man, that we can actually normalize what we experience on a day-to-day basis as a human being, that we're human, that we're built with emotions and feelings, that we have a physical body, that we will, and my body will present with physical symptoms. And that doesn't mean I'm less of a man because I experience that. That just is a normal experience for a human being. And I say human beings, so I mean men and women. But in this case, for men, it's to know it's actually normal for you to feel anxious, to feel anger, to feel depressed, to feel grief, to feel loss. It's actually normal to have anxiety, to fall into depression at times, but it's not helpful to remain in it. The remaining in it is obviously where we bottle these things up. So if I can normalize that you're allowed to feel these feelings and emotions and thoughts towards self, we can sort of learn to change our behavior. So we're able to tell ourselves that instead of withdrawing and isolating myself, instead of getting defensive and getting angry with what's happening around me, there's something I need to communicate with what's happening in my body, how the symptoms are presenting, or what thoughts I'm even thinking about towards self. This helps us communicate in a better way, in a more healthier way. But ultimately, it gives us this sense of care towards self that, you know what, I am good enough at what I do, but I know what I didn't turn out the way I did, but all I have to do is now communicate that I want to learn from this. I use learn in the sense because I don't want to say that you failed. The context of that would be more so around um, if I've never experienced this before, or if the context of the situation always evolves, always changes from day to day. I'm every day as a man learning to change habitual behavior from what I've learned from generational or cultural upbringing, from my dad, from my granddad, from my carer, whoever it is, or my friends, where I've learned to behave a certain way. I've accepted that it was the way and it was okay for me to behave that way. But over time, I've seen, and I guess men we see, that things fall apart, that relationships break apart, that sometimes they're not substantial enough and they don't actually meet the requirement of feeling the worth inside, or feeling that loved feeling inside, or feeling like I am actually good enough as a man. To do this is where we need to identify those unhealthy truths or those unhealthy beliefs about self and learn to work through those, find resolution through those beliefs, replace them with healthy truths about who we are. So our mentality is based upon a greater care towards who we are, why we choose to do what we do based from that foundation of helpful belief about self, that ultimately when I do choose to create my life, the things I choose to do from here are now added value to who I already am. So that means, guys, the one liner reminder around this whole sense of mentality and the theme is about being able to be real with self, being able to be real as a human being, being able to be real with my mind, with what's happening to me physically, so that from there I can be able to communicate and look after self. So the one liner reminder today is be real with self. And I hope you have a great week. Thanks for listening.